to that same level of skill really quickly. Lethal Company even more so. Like you just
Yeah.
run around and pick up stuff. So that is on our mind. We don't really know.
Yeah, I
And
got
scope.
to the same level of skill really quickly in Peak. I definitely noticed what you're
Yeah.
saying. Like I felt like I was like right there with everybody else, like instantly. Like it just did,
Hmm.
there was no learning curve in a game like that. So well said. Well said. Yep.
Yeah. But, there's an audience out there who wants to try hard, who wants to actually like learn the skills and get good with their friends. So maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Who knows? And then scope is a big thing. You can go big with this one, like too big. So finding that nice balance where we don't spend 8 years on a game, uh, and get a good game with the least amount of time is something that has me a little not nervous, but something I'm super aware of. And that is Smugglers in Space.
Yeah, very cool. Very, very cool. My biggest worry is just how long. I mean, it's just I don't know how hard multiplayer is to how much complexity it adds because the game actually seems really fun and you could really do some really cool things. I think it would
A
be
ton of complexity.
yeah.
But I think one of the cool things for us as a studio is every time we take on a new project, we learn something new. We don't go too far. So with Atrio, that was a pretty big jump, but we wanted to learn automation and we wanted to, move away from mobile and try like a actual deeper game. And then with Get to Work, we were learning 3D for the first time. And so every time we add that skill set, it becomes a lot easier to do those things. And then we tack on one more big thing to take on, which this time would be multiplayer.
And
So
since I'm doing all the coding, I'm a little, it's just like a lot of extra challenge to add on my plate to figure
with
out.
the podcast and
Yeah, just. But I'm hearing from chat that I could vibe code this whole thing in Grok in one weekend. So,
yeah, true,
so I'll probably just
true.
knock this game out real quick with Grok, and we'll launch it on Monday.
You'll
Seems
grok it,
easy.
dude. I don't know why you even need us, which is crazy. Like I'm just so appreciative that you entertain us, helping
That's really
you.
kind of you to say that. What's the third idea?
The third idea is the rope. Let's talk about the rope because the rope is again online co-op, spooky, crafty, buildy game.
Spooky.
So some people may not know these games, but Choo Choo Charl means Void Train. I'll explain all of it. Don't worry about it. But the idea is you upgrade your cart and traverse and survive the island. Now, this one we did not prototype, so you're really going to have to use your imagination. Some stuff is wicked janky. I apologize in advance. But art style, I pulled up some inspirational images. We're not really sure, but I suspect it'll probably be semi-realistic. This one, totally unknown. I think for spooky games, first person is the way to go. We really got to do first person.
It makes
But
sense.
we were thinking it's a single playthrough experience, kind of like Raft. If you've played Raft or The Forest, it's like you're discovering a
Okay,
story and
yeah.
stuff like that. So there's still like significant gameplay, but we're not really focused on a ton of replayability. There is a story. You've been barred from the church, and you've been given one last chance to restore your standing within the church, and that is to find and rescue Archbishop William. Now, ChatGPT pulled together this very serious, beautiful image, but we were actually thinking something significantly less serious.
Right, a little
There's these
goofier.
things called Roman tonsures, that little flappy haircut you see. I think they're so funny. And I could just imagine if we had like fake physics where you're like squatting up and down and like the Roman tonsures are like flapping, you and your boys with like, these goofy characters jumping up and down. So funny.
I do like the core branding of the studio being a bunch of bald characters every time. Going from Get to Work into this, having bald be iconic is it's bald representation is what it is.
We
Bringing it
are
back to
actually,
media.
we might be 3 for 3 because Atrio, the character, technically was bald.
Yeah, three
Was
for
a
three.
robot, but we would be 3 for 3.
That's a big branding.
Yeah, it really
The
is.
bald verse. Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't help your image, doesn't help your chat, that's for sure.
I'm wearing a hat. Nobody
You
knows
put
if I'm
that into
bald
the
or not.
universe. I'll have you know. You're responsible for
I
the
put it in the
consequences.
universe. Chat spams bald nonstop, whether there's a bald person on screen or not. And I put it in the universe. It's me. It's on my fault. I probably
I didn't
invented
say
coffee cow, huh?
it's not in my slides,
fault
brother.
They're saying glizzy. This is blaming the victim, bro.
Uh,
This is blaming the victim.
well,
All
you know
right.
what we
Okay.
could do? We could cover them up with coifs and lyra pipes,
There you go.
which I think is so funny.
Dude, what if there's an
So you,
upgrade
if
for
you're barred
hair?
from, yeah, you
That's
just hide
you
it.
could earn that.
I just think these, if you look up these like funny 1600s paintings of peasants, they just look so funny.
Yeah.
So if you've been barred from the church, maybe you're in these peasantry outfits. I don't know. We'll get there. But I think the character design, there's a lot of good starting points. Now, you can't see it, but it says proximity chat is on. I think for all these spooky games, super important.
Yeah. Proc chat's super fun.
Yeah. Now, a little bit of context here because it's so janky. I wanted to show some like inspiration photos because the actual images you're going to see are basically just like blocks. So we were thinking the cart is just nicer, is just cooler than what I'm going to show you. On the left here, that my face is blocking, this one, it's like this obelisk. So you're going to see it on the cart. Imagine this like really beautiful but mysterious obelisk that has glowing letters. Um, that's what's happening. And the way the cart system works, you're going to see it's a little fuzzy, but we were thinking something like a ski lift or a gondola where they're attached to these like ropes. And so they can move around wheels and stuff. They move up and down. So this has been figured out, but again, you're going to have to really kind of use your imagination.
Sure.
So you land on the island, and there is a man in a hood just cranking this wheel. He doesn't talk to you. He doesn't interact with you. He just constantly is moving the wheel and the
seems
rope
chill.
attached to it. Yeah, he's absolutely shredded. He looks small, but he's so ripped.
He's got
He doesn't say
aura.
anything. He doesn't even acknowledge you. He's just pushing the rope.
Just
So
cranking it, huh? That's awesome.
Your ship has crashed. You have nowhere to go, so you walk up to the rope and you discover a cart. Now, this cart system, the way it would work is like kind of like a gondola. They can attach to the rope. They're not like they don't get obstructed by stuff that gets attached to them. So there's poles and stuff throughout the entire level that kind of hold it up, but they're pretty far apart. So it's a connected system. Now you hop on the cart with your friends, and you travel. Oh, and you travel. Unfortunately, there's a massive crevasse. There's nowhere to go. You cannot you cannot traverse the crevasse. You try, you'll fall. It's not strong enough to actually get across. It'll just like break and fall.
Okay.
Not very helpful, but so you travel to the left. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is imagine more of a fog. Like the rope just kind of travels into infinity. There's like big fog kind of on the left and the right. So you can't just like see far into the distance. A big part of like what makes it so fun and mysterious is this rope is just traveling infinitely.
Yeah, you don't know
left
where
and
you're
right.
going.
Yeah, you don't. Part of it is the discovery and exploration.
You just fall in
So
this
you and
crazy
your friends, you and your friends travel to the left. You don't see anything. You can't, you can't see across the crevasse, and you can't travel across it. Now, because it's a crafty building game, you open up your menu and see there's a cart upgrade. You can traverse valleys if you build this cart upgrade. So naturally, what do? You and your boys want to build this big cart upgrade that's going to let you travel across this massive crevasse. Now, obviously, you got to use your imagination. Imagine something more spectacular, much, much bigger cliff faces that look spectacular. I just drew this up really quickly, added some ropes. Or imagine there's like ogres, like glowing eyes in the background. So it's a bit scarier when you actually cross.
Sure.
Something definitely with more tension and atmosphere.
Yeah.
But we want to focus on crafting. A big part of this is crafting. So building this upgrade. You can do a ton of different crafting. You can cook food. You can make torches, talismans. Because this is sort of like this fake religious, era in maybe the 1600s, we wanted to play on like the goofy, crazy, really wrong religious stuff that they used to think about, like, ring around the rosy and how they used to like try and treat disease and stuff like that. We kind of want to play off that a little bit. I think that'd be kind of fun. We were thinking basic hunting tools and cart upgrades. That's a really big one.
Right.
Obviously, you want to upgrade the cart. We were also thinking that you're mostly defenseless except to hunt animals. I think a big part of the spooky, crafty sort of experience is you can't really defend yourself. A big part of it is like warding off creatures or, defending yourself, but really not attacking people.
Sure. So you can hunt like a small rabbit, but when the monster comes out,
Exactly.
your little bow won't do anything.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, that
Or
makes
maybe we have
sense.
small monsters that you can fight, but like the really big stuff you cannot.
Yeah.
So you go exploring to the forest. Created fake mushrooms. Maybe you're picking up mushrooms. Maybe you're chopping trees. Maybe you're harvesting sticks. All of the classic stuff to build things. That's just a mechanic that everybody loves. That works really, really well. We have all the systems from Atrio. We have crafting menus. We have harvesting. This
Yeah.
is really a big part of our bread and butter. But a big part of this is atmosphere. I want you guys to feel like you're exploring a scary, spooky forest as these, Catholic bard priests. So as you're exploring the forest, you hear something rumbling in the dark, and a big, scary monster comes up to you. Now,
Okay.
if you're lucky, you can make it back to the cart in time, because the cart is the only place that keeps you safe. This mysterious obelisk, you can pray to it. And if you give it a sacrifice, we were thinking something, mysterious, like a rabbit's foot and 3 drops of blood and wheatgrass, then it'll create like this like barrier on the card itself to keep you safe. What's so cool about this mechanic, and Choo Choo Charles did this really, really well. Oh, let's pause this. Good. Okay. What's so cool about this, and Choo Choo Charles did this really, really well, is it creates this beautiful game design mechanic where the farther you travel, the more you're in danger. Because obviously, if you're close to the cart, if the monster tries to attack you, you just hop in the cart and you're safe.
Right.
But we're not going to give it to you so easily. We're going to place the really good stuff farther away. So you and your friends are going to have to travel into the dark through the forest. And the farther you go, the more chances are if you run into the big bad guy, you're
You're
done.
just
It's
dead.
over. Super scary. And so you're always on edge trying to track this monster. Imagine there's like one really big monster. If he comes from the left-hand side, it's a little more safe to go right. But if you go really far, he can travel and then you lose track of him and then all of a sudden you
Comes out
don't
of the
know where he
fog
is.
and yeah, okay.
Super scary. Or you get lost from your friends and he just disappears. Who knows?
I mean, even the
Right?
idea of walking through the fog and proximity chat yelling to find your friends is really fun, you know? Or if you hear somebody
Super fun.
screaming in the distance, you're like, oh shit, I better run, get back to the cart.
And what's so cool about this is lots of games do this. You build a fort in Rust, you build forts in, other places. It's stationary. So you get used to that environment around you. You explore that and you become a master of that territory. And the farther you push out, the more you learn it. You keep pushing, the more you learn it, which is great. Except your base this time moves. So every time you traverse, you don't know the area. And so like every experience is new, which makes it scarier, which is kind of fun. There's that moving safety net, this moving bubble just creates a totally different, unique experience. I love that. Now, what's cool is a big part of this game, and I stole this map from Choo Choo Charles, just wanted to show that. Um, what's super cool about this is exploration is going to be a huge part of this game, like I mentioned before. This is maybe where the rope travels. Maybe there's alternate routes. We're not going to go crazy. I think it's really important to not have too many routes. But imagine someone is controlling the cart and your friend is lagging behind, and it's like, oh, I'll just follow the rope. I know exactly where they go. And then there's 2 ropes going across, and then you're like, oh shit, I don't know where they are. A lot of cool experiences that can come from this.
Yeah, for
We're
sure.
obviously going to place really interesting landmarks. Maybe there's, broken villages or altars or, this is boring chat GBT generators. Like it's pretty generic, but I think a big part of this is our focus would be to create these unique places to explore that give you rewards and have stuff you can harvest and, give you big upgrades and stuff like that. Now, I had mentioned cart upgrades really important. What we would do is you have to upgrade the cart to travel to these different biomes. And so the game loop that you would be experiencing is, let's say you're in the sand pits. So I already showed you that can you see my cursor?
Yep.
You probably can't. Oh, you can see it.
Oh no, sorry, I can't.
Okay,
I
that's
can see
fine.
your screen.
Now imagine the starting point is in the sand pit. We traveled to the right. We couldn't travel across the crevasse. We traveled to the left. We couldn't travel across the crevasse. So we had to explore the sand pit and upgrade our cart, which then unlocks the cursed hoodoos. And that would give you access to more resources, which then lets you upgrade your cart, which then lets you go to the swamplands to get more resources, so on and so forth. And so every time you traverse, you get stronger and more powerful, and your team gets better, and your cart gets better.
Makes sense.
And then the goal, on top of that, the high level goal is to find these tomes, which then will lead you to, the bishop, and then will let you escape. So that's kind of the main mechanics of the game. Now, before I wrap up, we need to talk about cart upgrades because they're so important.
Okay.
We were imagining if you've played Raft,
Yeah. I
it's
argued
kind of the
with
same
fans in
thing where
LUT
you,
for 3 hours about who's the
yeah,
captain.
a big part of this is like expanding your raft. You're going and finding pieces, then making it bigger. Maybe you can build vertical. Maybe you can like, have, storage and all sorts of stuff. I think the experience will be somewhat similar. Maybe we'll have to make the cart bigger than what I showed. We'll have to figure that piece out, but I wanted to, pull on some reference that you may know. And I thought raft was cool because you're on this floating thing that's constantly moving. Cart upgrades that you can have, a bigger cart. I'm going to skip faster cart for now. Talk about more storage, also terrain. You got to travel to new biomes. That's that map that I showed you. And then the unique stuff, crafting stations. Maybe you unlock the ability to smelt, so you get metal stuff. Maybe we do basic automation where, your smelter drops ingots and then the ingots get put into a chest. We wouldn't go crazy. I think that would break all the game balancing. So you wouldn't be, having splitters and stuff like that. But, we do have automation in our code base, so we can use that.
Sure.
It could be fun to, really play on the proximity chat. Maybe there's a loudspeaker on the card itself, so you can yell at your friends, but they can't yell back. That like one line of
Oh, yeah, like a
communication.
horn or something, so you could,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Lots of cool stuff like that. A sacrificial altar where maybe you get buffs and stuff. I think if we're going to play on the religious side of things, like that pseudo religion, fake religion stuff, I think that'd be fun. And then obviously, I think personalization is really important. I think people want to deck out their cart. They want to play it in copper and make it fancy. I think that'd be cool. So we really want to emphasize the crafty, buildy personalization stuff. And if you manage to get to the end, you can travel through the island, grab the tomes, and then escape. So that is the rope. And I want to talk about the biggest unknowns because there are some. We're not sure, how the monsters are going to work. Our initial thought is like, maybe we'll have a bunch of smaller monsters. Maybe you can fight them. And then we'll have one huge monster. I think a lot of scary, spooky games, once you interact with the monster like once or twice, the magic is lost pretty quickly. And so if there's only one monster, you lose that anticipation, that anxiety really quickly. But
Right.
if we have a bunch of smaller monsters, you can interact with them and not be bored. And then every time you interact with the big monster, it can be very rare. And that way the tension can always sort of be there.
Yeah, I mean, you really want the
Scare
big
level.
monster to be like almost certain death.
Yeah.
If he
Yeah, for
shows
sure.
up and it's the huge thudding sound, then you want to feel truly scared.
Hmm. Hmm. So, um, we're not sure about scare level. I think this is a really tricky one to nail. Um, there's like a really small audience of people who like really truly scary games, but because this is co-op, having we got to balance that scare level, and we don't know where that line is. My gut is like pretty low, like not super scary. Like we kind of want it to be like spooky-ish, or maybe
Oh,
there's
it
a
can't be
setting where
that
you can
scary
like turn
because
it down.
chat is cowardly. They couldn't. If it's actually scary, chat will freak out, dude. It has to be. It has to be like so lightly scary.
I think what's cool is if we do a really good job with the building mechanics, then we can get away with it not being super scary and focus on the fun aspect of just building and
Yeah, like
harvesting.
Lethal Company scary, I guess is the right amount to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we've never made a horror game before. Atrio was like slightly spooky, but really not. So we
Although,
don't know.
yeah, it would be funny. I mean, to stand out a little bit. It would be funny to make one of these type of games where it really is scary.
And then people just lose it.
Like you'd have a smaller overall audience, but you would attract people looking for something a little more
Intense.
intense or different. It's not that crazy to try and go for scary. Although I don't know, it's tough.
Yeah,
Phasmophobia, is that scary? It was scarier. It was scarier than
for sure.
yeah,
Lots of unknowns.
yeah.
I think the other big one is we've done this pitch obviously to a bunch of people, and it's been pretty split. Some people are like not super pumped about only playing it once. Roguelikes right now and replayability are pretty hot, and so a lot of people are very interested in a ton of replayability. I have no idea what it would look like, we could obviously explore it. I don't think it's impossible to change this to be very replayable. So a bunch of friends can come in and out. But the crafty buildy stuff really tends to lend itself to a more focused playthrough. So I don't know. That one's on the table.
Okay.
But if it is single playthrough, like how does death work? So we're not really sure. Maybe you have to sacrifice something to bring them back, or they're a ghost, and but there needs to be some sort of mechanic where you can bring them back.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I feel like it's not too hard to pivot this game into being replayable slash roguelike.
Hmm.
Doesn't seem hard at all, but maybe it's just a different experience.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I guess the way I think about it is the forest is not replayable. I mean, it's somewhat replayable, but and people love that game. Like it's such a fun game just to play 10 hours with your friends and like, build a giant base. And then when you're done, you're done. So,
is Subnautica co-op?
uh no, but the new one is if it comes out
I
because
see.
there's some drama there.
I see.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
because there is a Subnautica vibe here with
for
like
sure.
the big, scary, deadly monsters and the exploration and the. Um, I think there could be a Subnautica type beat. Okay, very cool. So we've got 3 pitches in the books: Mine the Mountain, Smugglers in Space, and The Rope. And chat, it is time for you to do your due diligence as faithful servants of democracy.
I
And
got I got one more thing.
oh,
I
you
got
have one
one
more
more
thing.
follow up.
Oh, whoa,
I got one more
whoa, whoa,
follow
whoa,
up.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, I'm sorry. I cut you
It's a
off.
quick recap because this has been on for a little while. So I wanted to give people a quick recap so they can be reminded of what the games are, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
First, I want to talk about something that's really important, the gap. And I'm not talking about the Gene Store. I'm talking about the buying experience. So for you guys, when you shop on Steam, most of the time, there's this experience of, oh, this looks kind of cool. And when you're scrolling through or you see ideas or, if someone pitches an idea to you, you go, oh, that's kind of cool. Like I would play it, like whatever. And then when it comes to actually buying it, you would never, right? Think about how many times you scrolled on Steam and be like, yeah, okay. But am I going to pay the money? Nah. Versus, oh my God, I need to play this. Silk Song, whatever game floats your boat, Slay the Spire 2, Hades 2. There's like a small selection of games that just tap into your brain and make you go, oh, I'm playing that day one, and nothing is going to stop you from buying it. Like there's no way you're not going to play that game. We are looking for, oh my God, I need to play this. So if none of these games, do that for you, that's okay. We won't be offended. There's going to be an option to vote for none. And that's really important because if everybody votes for none, then that means all of these ideas aren't good enough because we don't want to spend, 2, 3, 4 years on an idea that nobody's excited about. That's
Yeah,
probably
well,
the
I'll
worst
push
thing that
back
could
on that a
happen.
little bit. I mean, if everybody votes none, that's probably a bad sign. But I, in the real marketplace, probably like 80% of people here or more should vote none. Really, like the amount of people in this chat that have bought Get to Work is probably really low, and that game was successful. There's people that
True.
have bought it for sure, but we're just trying to find in the entire internet some group of people that would really like it. It's not everyone here. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah, for
most
sure.
people here won't buy any of the games. They're gonna play fucking League of Legends and Rocket League. they're gonna
That's
play.
true.
They're gonna play the few games they're hooked on for the rest of their life. So we're just trying to find a small group of people who are passionate about some specific game that we can, and then assume they're representative of a larger. There's enough people in the larger pool that you can make a successful game.
Definitely. Definitely.
Um,
Chat, you've done great so far, so I wanted to reward you with some artwork. Found this on the Reddit today. Not getting enough representation
They
to the
don't need to
beautiful
be
artists.
rewarded with this, and this is not this is not part of the pitch in any way. Don't vote for this one. this is this is the game where I'm Atlas holding up the world, but it's made of coffee and I'm drinking it.
Atlas chugging. That was the
Atlas
title.
chugged. That actually is fire. Well, let's make that game. Atlas chugged. The game where you drink the whole world's coffee. That's actually really powerful.
That's why they pay chat the big bucks. Okay. You guys all got your refresher, a little bit of a breather.
Yep.
Now I'm going to do a quick recap and then we're going to vote. Okay? So, quick recap. Mine the Mountain is a single player vertical automation game where the goal is to reach the top of the mountain. If you've played Factorio or Satisfactory, this is the game for you. Smugglers in Space, an online co op. Slay the Spire meets Lethal Company.